Hello and welcome to Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, for Europe District, our new series on the Western Balkans and Turkey. Each month we'll take you to one of the countries of this very vibrant region of Europe. We'll talk to the people, we'll show you how the prospect of EU membership has transformed these nations, and we'll ask what a new enlargement of the European Union would mean for its 500 million citizens. And we'll start here this month in Croatia. Croatia, a country of 4.5 million people. It declared its independence in 1991. That was, of course, amidst the breakup of Yugoslavia. It was then followed by 4 years of a very violent and destructive war. But luckily, times have changed. Out of all the countries in this region, Croatia is by far the one where negotiations with Brussels are the most advanced. They were officially started in October 2005, and Croatia may even be able to join the European Union in 2012. Well, in this program, we'll show you how Croatia has vowed to crack down on corruption to meet EU standards. We'll then go east to show you how the country is dealing with its large Serbian minority. And last but not least, we'll go to the south, to the beautiful coasts of the Adriatic Sea. And we'll take you for a walk through the streets of Dubrovnik. But first, what do you know about Croatia? You may actually know more than you think. Let's take a look.
Made famous around the world by Walt Disney, the Dalmatian owes his name to Dalmatia, the coastal part of Croatia where he comes from. In his home country, this glamorous dog was used to protect against invaders. And if in Washington the White House is so white, well, that's because it was built with stones coming from the Croatian island of Brač. But Croatia's biggest contribution is to men's fashion. In the 17th century, Croatian mercenaries became famous across Europe for wearing a picturesque scarf tied around the neck. This decorative accessory greatly impressed French King Louis XIV, who spread the fashion around the continent. But what about famous Croats? Dora Maar, the muse and lover of Spanish painter Picasso, had a father born in Zagreb. And being John Malkovich means being of Croatian descent. The famous Hollywood actor was born to a Croatian father. He often visits his country of origin. We spotted him in Dubrovnik.
Croatia well ahead on the road to EU membership. There's still some hurdles, among them corruption. It's become a top priority for Brussels, particularly after the controversial accession of Bulgaria and Romania. Zagreb has promised zero tolerance on the matter. Some high-ranking officials have been prosecuted. Our correspondent Valérie Labonne brought us this report.
It's been going for just over a year now. A 300-strong police team that specializes in investigating economic crime. They keep tabs on suspects and pull together evidence. The front line in Croatian authorities' bid to crack down on corruption.
For a long time, the Republic of Croatia has chosen to take a zero-tolerance approach with corruption, and the police force is the institution to uphold this. That can't just be a declaration of intent, but must also carry over into the facts and the way that we practically uphold laws.
The unit's aiming high. On the 17th of September in Zagreb, the trial of the former Deputy Prime Minister Damir Polanček began. Charges of misuse of power means he faces estimated fines of around 55 million euros. The push comes with the backing of Prime Minister Jadranka Kosor, who's made the fight against corruption a key policy. The issue is crucial to the country's bid to accede to the EU.
Those cases are really the highlights, the message to the people, to the society on the first place, and to the European Union, that we are really trying to do our job best.
The EU's pulled Croatia up for falling behind in dealing with approximately 400,000 corruption cases. The scale of the problem is huge, and you don't have to look far for evidence. The construction of this publicly funded private building in the capital has incensed locals.
City of Zagreb is investing taxpayers' money to make entrance for private garage.
The projects made it into headlines and sparked several demonstrations over the last few months. These police officers were posted at the site to prevent any interference with building plans. The NGO Transparency International claimed that the government's efforts to stem corruption still aren't good enough.
Thanks to pressure from European Union, our legal framework improved, but still we have a lot to do.
The problem affects both the public purse and the quality of life of Croatian citizens. This man's apartment overlooks the controversial building site. Regulations state that the new construction should be at least 3 meters away. But his balcony is flush with a newly erected wall.
This is terrible. I don't understand how this can happen in a country that's supposed to be civilized, a country that hopes to join the EU. It's incredible.
The pensioners sent a letter of complaint to the Prime Minister, but has had no response. The Office for the Prevention of Corruption and Organised Crime has acknowledged that Croatia has a long way to go. The endemic bribery and graft is a leftover from the communist era and touches on all institutions. Penal reform in 2009 brought in tougher punishments like the seizure of property in the hope that they'd help push home the new zero-tolerance approach.
We're completely conscious of how much more there is to do, but I've got to point out that today many more corruption complaints are being lodged. We're much faster in our procedures, and judgments are being given much more quickly. All that is laying the groundwork to allow us to solve Croatia's problem.
In its fight against corruption, Brussels says that Croatia must speed up and tighten its legal procedures. Stakes are high. Success will attract foreign investors and safeguard the country's European subsidies.
A report there on the way Croatia is cracking down on corruption. Well, I'm glad to be joined in order to continue the discussion by the Prime Minister of Croatia, Mrs. Jadranka Kosor. Hello.
Bonjour.
Thank you for having us in your office here. For Brussels, cracking down on corruption is a top priority. And yet, we've seen cases of high-ranking officials being brought to justice. You've taken measures, but do you have the guarantees that this will be enough for you to get rid of the burden of corruption?
Croatia is on the home stretch. I truly hope we will complete the negotiations before the end of next year, that we will resolve all the remaining issues, including, of course, Chapter 23, which focuses on the fight against corruption. And I want to stress this. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing it for our citizens. Fighting corruption is part of people's fundamental rights. This is a fight for the rights of our citizens.
Mrs. Kosor, you've always promoted the idea of Croatia joining the EU, and yet several polls have indicated that Euroscepticism is on the rise in your country. Why is that?
Fortunately, the situation is not quite how you describe it. The latest polls conducted in Croatia by the European Commission show that if a referendum was held today, 55% of our citizens would vote in favor of EU membership. I hope that this percentage will be even higher by the time we sign the accession treaty, something that should happen soon. I think that our citizens will realize that joining the EU represents a natural homecoming for Croatia, because we have always belonged to the European family, and that we will be welcomed by all the member states.
One of the legacy of the war between Croatia and Serbia is the fate of the Serbian minority in Croatia. It's a top priority, of course, for Brussels, that everything be done to integrate this minority. Are you confident that enough has been done?
Činjenica jest da se, evo, 90-ih godina ovdje dogodila agresija.
It is a fact that in the 1990s, Croatia was under attack and that part of its territory was occupied. Hundreds of thousands of Croatians were expelled by the alliance of the Serbian paramilitaries and the Yugoslavian army in Croatia.
srpskih paravojnih formacija I Jugoslavenske narodne armije.
As for the Serbian minority, it is true that a number of people left. They were not forced to leave, but they left.
Od njih nije morao otići, ali to se dogodilo I ono što mi sada radimo jeste mi smo pri kraju toga.
But today, those who wish to come back to Croatia can do so. The return must happen on a voluntary basis and in safe conditions.
Na tome iznimno puno radimo, a ponavljam, radimo ga zajedno budući da je dio vlade, dakle potpredsjednik vlade.
We're cooperating on this issue with the representative of the Serbian minority.
I radimo na tome zajedno I ja sam
Our action is well coordinated, and I'm satisfied with the results.
Uz činjenicu da smo već uložili otprilike 5.
We have already spent 5 billion euros on refugee return programs. I'm confident that we're upholding all the commitments made by the government of the Republic of Croatia.
Sve one obveze koje imamo iz koalicijskog sporazuma, ali isto tako iz programa Vlade Republike Hrvatske.
Mrs. Jadranka Kosor, Prime Minister of Croatia, thank you very much for being our guest in the show. Let's watch our next report, precisely on the fate of the Serbian minority in Croatia. It's brought to us by our correspondent, Valerie Labon.
A handshake between Croatian President Ivo Josipovic and his Serbian counterpart Boris Tadic. It was a symbolic gesture of reconciliation between the two countries. Croatia has always held the Serbs responsible for the war, but for the Croatian leader, it's now time to turn the page.
And we have to improve this relation. I think it's a good sign of better relations that now we have Serbian political party in the government. And that's very important.
Croatia amended its electoral law in 2003 to reserve 8 of the 160 parliamentary seats for ethnic minorities, 3 of which have gone specifically to Serbs.
We have to change the atmosphere in Croatian society. We have to first change it in parliament, and then amongst citizens. We have to create a climate in which Serbs are accorded the same rights as the others. They have always been, and still are, a part of the Croatian nation.
Repatriation of thousands of Serb refugees is still a sensitive and difficult issue for the Croatian government. Only half of the 135,000 Serbs who fled between 1991 and 95 have returned. The Sisak region is a former foothold of many Croatian Serbs. Before the conflict, Nikolaj Janjanin was a successful pig farmer in the area. When he returned, he found his livestock slaughtered and his farm riddled with landmines.
My old house was taller than this one. They laid mines all over it. There was debris everywhere.
Nikola escaped in 1995 at the onset of Operation Storm. It was a huge military offensive carried out by the Croatian army to regain control of land occupied by Serb separatists. When he returned, it took him 3 years to get his property back.
I was really hurt. I felt that if I had been ethnic Croatian, I wouldn't have had so much trouble.
Nikola started a dairy farm after coming back to the village. He'd been a farmer for 40 years and couldn't think of anything else to do. Slowly, he's picked up his life again and today keeps 140 cows.
I'm making a living doing what I like and what I've done my whole life. So I think I can say I'm happy today.
Slobodan Kovacevic moved into a new house nearby about 2 months ago as part of a Serb repatriation program run by the UNHCR. His is one of nearly 150,000 houses rebuilt with government aid. It took 7 years of legal battling to reclaim ownership of the property. He's happy to be back, but has been confronted with a harsh reality. The region's been devastated. With its soaring unemployment rate, the village no longer holds a future for his children.
No one lives in that house. They're not going to come back. And the old people who lived in that other house have died. Same for the house on the other side. Young people don't want to come back here. Me, I chose to come back. I had nowhere else to go.
One of the biggest challenges for many of the people in this rural and impoverished region is keeping in touch with wider society. Many of them are illiterate. The UN's refugee body's been urging the Croatian government to provide social aid to the repatriated Serb minority. Another contentious issue is allowing people who used to live in state-owned houses to return.
This government needs to overcome, namely related to those refugees that were holding or using the socially owned apartments before the war. Their rights were terminated once they left the country, and now a great portion of them would like to come back.
Since starting EU membership negotiations, the Croatian government promised to try harder to reintegrate the Serb minority. The UNHCR hopes to end its mission in Croatia by the close of 2011. Meanwhile, the country is still working towards closing the chapter on the war.
And we'll leave you with a view of St. Mark's Church, easily recognizable by its multicolored tile roof. We'll be back after the news and we'll bring you the second part of Europe District, so please stay tuned on France 24.